Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight here at Camden Military Academy from Camden, South Carolina. And tonight we're going to bring you a virtual open house. Of course, it won't be as good as the real thing with you being here on campus, but we do just want to extend the opportunity for you guys to learn a little bit more about Camden by talking with our cadets. We also have the Dean of Students here, so we can discuss academics. So basically, if you have any questions at all, please let us know. Only good thing about not having to be here on campus is you can be at home in your pajamas and eating some popcorn on the couch, and we're the ones dressed up here and talking to you tonight. So make yourself comfortable and please participate. You can ask these guys any questions. You can ask me questions, Colonel Heflin, just by going to any of our social media platforms. You name it, we're on it with Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat. You can also send an email to admissions@camdenmilitary.com. We will get to as many of those questions as possible. Just remember, when you do post the questions on social media, to use the hashtag Camden Military, and that way we can find them and get those questions here on air. But to get things started, I would like for these guys to introduce themselves. So we're going to let them go in order here and tell their name, the grade they're in, and where they're from. So Johan, we'll start with you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Cadet First Lieutenant Johan Ofredo. I'm a junior, and I'm from Scarsdale, New York.
Okay, and then Larson.
Hi, I'm William Larson. I'm a junior, and I'm from Bradenton, Florida.
And Branch.
Hi, I'm John Branch. I'm a sergeant, and I'm from Grovetown, Georgia.
Okay, and then we'll also go to the Dean of Students.
I'm Lieutenant Colonel John Heflin. I've been at Camden since the summer of 1998.
So, and I'm Casey Robinson, Director of Admissions. And I've been at Camden since '99. Actually, today is my anniversary. This is my 18th anniversary today. So thanks for celebrating with me. All right, so we're going to jump right in. I want to ask these guys a couple of questions. And the first one's really easy. Why did you pick Camden? And I'm going to throw to Johan that question. I remember meeting Johan in New York, actually. We do recruiting events around the country. And if you're interested in seeing if we're coming to a city near you, just check out the website. But I remember meeting Johan at an event there in Manhattan. But Johan, why did you and your family choose Camden?
Honestly, I did choose Camden, but I think I went to two where I got to see how the school was like. And when Casey came to New York, the first one I got really interested into how the school was like, and I enjoyed it. And the second one, I enjoyed it as well. And my parents decided for me, but I didn't fight against it. And I said, all right, this seems like a good school and a good option for me. So I didn't fight it, and I went for it, and I had a great time.
All right. But tell me this, why were your parents looking at an option for you, something different?
My grades were suffering, and I wasn't hanging around the right crowd. So my parents said, you need to go to Camden Military Academy to get your act straight.
All right. And Branch, we'll ask you the same question. How about tell us, why Camden Military for you?
Well, I wasn't really paying attention, not following directions in school. I wasn't probably the model cadet or student. So my parents started looking around through other schools. They found this one because of the academics and how it was military, which what I was really good at. And once I've gotten here, everything's been going my favor. So.
All right. And Larson, we'll ask you the same question. Why Camden?
Well, when I started going to high school, I began to form an opinion like I didn't really care about school anymore. And I kind of just completely abandoned my studies. And my parents sent me to Camden because it offered the course recovery for the summer program, which was really beneficial for me.
Good. And I'm glad you brought up the summer. We will have a little talk about the summer a little bit later in the broadcast, but just to throw it out there, we have summer programs, one for middle school, one for high school. The high school option is pretty much school all day long, but you're able to earn 1 academic credit in 2.5 weeks, or you can earn 2 full academic credits in 5.5 weeks. So if it's really intense, you have to hang on tight when you come to our summer program, but it is an opportunity to earn some credit, but also be introduced to the academy so that you can get to know the teachers, get a good lay of the land, and figure out what we're all about. For the middle school students, it's pretty much a mixture of academic and camp activities. So they go to class in the morning from 8:30 to noon, And then after that, we followed that up with some camp activities. So now when these guys just told us why they chose Camden, there was a lot of mention of grades, and that is pretty typical of why parents are looking at around. And being the admissions director, I've learned over the years that most of the time it is not the student's idea. It's not the boy's idea. I have 300 students here, and maybe 30 or 40 of them, it was really their idea, their dream to come here. But for the vast majority of these guys, it was someone else's idea. And it's usually grades. So I'm going to go down to Colonel Heflin. And Colonel Heflin, can you tell us a little bit about grades that you see maybe coming in on transcripts, and then tell us how students do once they get here, and maybe why there's a difference?
Well, the average grades are pretty, for the most part, are usually D's and F's, and on the transcripts in which I observe, as well as Mrs. Finley. One of the main reasons for students being able to change their grades when they become a cadet at Camden is due to the study halls that we have, as well as the tutorial programs and the smaller class environment. The smaller class environment, unlike most private schools and other public schools, are usually anywhere from 10 to 12, and some of those classes are usually smaller than that. So teachers are able to give students more one-on-one time and devote more attention to that. And also something that I continuously say, that I guess dates back to Carlisle Military School, our sister school, is that we become a family and people care about one another here. And so you care about your family like that. And so we have that same mentality here at Camden Military.
Good. Now, Johan, I want you to talk about that just a bit. Tell me a little bit about the environment here at Camden. Maybe I hear a lot of buzzwords like brotherhood. Tell me a little bit about that aspect of the school.
So when you first get here, you really don't know anyone, and you don't know what you're supposed to do and what's right and what's wrong. And right when you get here, you meet the people that are in charge of you, and they pretty much mold you and teach you what's right, what's wrong, and then you can get all that aspect of the right and wrong things. And your roommate that you first get here with, you always become best friends with them, because you guys are both new and you don't know what's going on. So you guys can talk about it, and you get a lot of one-on-one time together. Pretty much how I like to think about it is that you get to sleep over with your best friends every day. So that brotherhood experience is really strong.
Awesome. And we got our first live question coming in from Twitter. And easy question, but it's coming. Are the classes hard? I'm going to throw that one out to Larson. How hard do you think the classes are here at Camden?
Well, the classes here are obviously going to be more dedicated to the people who are coming here based on having really poor transcripts. So the goal is to get them to have a high GPA, and this is a college preparatory school. So we want them to have really nice grades so they can go off to the the better colleges. So
right. One thing about that, a lot of times it's homework. Guys, raise your hand if you always did your homework and turned it in on time prior to coming to Camden. Exactly. Homework tends to hurt a lot of grade point averages, a lot of academics. So here at Camden, there's a big emphasis on a supervised study hall. The teachers are there during the study halls. And guys are sometimes amazed at how easy school can become if you're doing what you're supposed to do. So if you're doing your homework and you're in a small class setting, you're kind of forced to participate in class. It's easy to see those grades, go up fairly quickly.
Can I add to that?
Sure.
Also, there's also different levels of classes. You have the regular classes, and you have honor classes, and then dual credit courses. And each one going up is more difficult.
Right. And speaking of dual credit, Colonel Heflin, that's your specialty there, dual credit. So tell families out there what they can expect by the dual credit.
We have 37 hours of dual enrollment credit through the University of South Carolina. So if the individual cadet comes in either in their junior or senior year, they may take those classes if they meet the requirements. You must have at least a 3.0 GPA in order to do that. There are some special circumstances that I can write a letter to gain approval for that. And I have done that in the past for a student who's come into summer school, and I witnessed that work ethic. And so that has happened. I've also, since I've been the Dean of Students, written that approval for some sophomores. We currently have a sophomore who's taken those classes, who came in August, and who has that work ethic. And actually today he says, you know, I want to study more than I'm studying. I'm doing the mandatory study halls. I want to be able to get up early in the morning and do some things. And so would you talk to my TAC officers? So if a student is dedicated to do that, then we would, you know, do our best to facilitate those special needs, you know, with that. And so, yes, we do have different levels of classes. And to go back to that question, are the classes easy? I would say the classes are pretty much average of any other place, but it's that we can do things that usually parents can't get done at home. As Casey said, homework, or, you know, or turning it in on time, and you know, consequences, you know, not being able to participate in things that you normally could participate in a public or a private school somewhere else. Because if you don't do it, you know, it goes back to the systems of merits and demerits.
Yeah, good. One question I get asked a lot is military school, you know, why? Why do I want to go to military school? There's not going to be any fun. You know, people are going to scream and yell at me all the time, 24/7. I think we do have some fun here, and I want the guys to kind of talk about the fun that you can have during the school year. So, Branch, tell me something that you enjoy doing here at Camden that is a little different maybe that you can't do at home.
Well, I like to spin rifles. I do part of a blackjack drill team. So the blackjack drill team it's a drill team it branches off from Pershing Rifle, which is a college fraternity. So it's like a brotherhood there. And it's opened a lot of opportunities for me this year. I've been to France. I'm going to France the next 3 years for it. And we're about to go to a national competition in a week. So
Yeah.
that's what I like.
And Johan, how about you? What's something fun?
What I do for fun is during free time, I can go and I run a lot. So, and also I go to the weight room.
Boy, that sounds like fun. and Will, we'll go to you. What's something fun that you enjoy doing here?
Well, what's really cool is I like to challenge myself. So, and there's so many different things you can do, which is awesome. And then you can push yourself to like almost the brink of overwhelming yourself, which I think is fun to me. So,
you know, we do have some fun activities going on. We take 10 to 11 different trips throughout the year, where we go to DC. We just got back from snow skiing. We'll be going to Florida in a couple of weeks, and doing some of the touristy things down in Orlando. But, you know, here on campus, there's one thing that you will never have to worry about, is finding someone else to do something with. You know, there's 300 guys here. So if you want to go throw the football or throw a Frisbee or whatever, there's somebody else out there that will do it with you. Unfortunately, I live here on campus, and I see guys, you know, playing all over campus all the time. And that's something good to see, because a lot of guys nowadays are not going outside. They're stuck inside, either on Xbox or texting, or, you know, maybe even with those girls. And getting outside and burning off this excess energy, I think pays some pretty big dividends as well. We have another question from Twitter, and this is always a popular question as well. How early do you get up, and how many mandatory study halls are there? So let's go with Branch on that one. How early do you get up? And then we'll throw the study hall question over to Johan.
Well, you can get up earlier, like anytime earlier than 6 o'clock. But once 6 o'clock comes, you have to get up.
So early rise. And what time do lights go out, by the way?
Lights go out at 10 o'clock, but if you're not done with study hall, you can ask for a special permission from your TAC officer, and you can study a little bit longer. So.
Okay. And Johan, tell us about the study halls. How many of those a week, and how long does it last?
Study halls, it's from 7:30 to 9, and it happens 4 days a week. Monday night, Tuesday night, and Thursday night. And if we have Saturday classes, which helps us have longer breaks, which is actually worth it in the end, we also have it on Friday nights. But that happens about once a month, the Saturday classes.
Correct. The Saturday class is about once a month, and that does afford us the opportunity to have a longer Christmas break, which is about three and a half weeks. We have a full week off for Thanksgiving, and so we're here. We might as well go to school and get that credit hours in, and so we can have those extended breaks. As you may have noticed during the introductions, we have guys here from New York, California, and New York / California for Fredo, and Branches from Georgia, and Larson's from Florida. This year at Camden, we have 34 states and 14 different countries represented on campus. And that's something you're not going to find in your typical private school, whether it be day school or your public school. So, it's a unique experience to have that much diversity here on campus as well. One thing I want to ask you guys, I know a couple of you maybe looked at other schools when you were going through the decision-making process, and you at least looked at information online, things like that. But why did you guys, what was the one thing that swayed you to choose Camden, or that swayed your parents to choose Camden over some of the other schools? Johan, we'll start with you.
Well,
I'm sure it was probably meeting me in New York, but besides that.
Of course that, but the thing that made my parents choose, I'm not sure the other schools that they looked at, but I know they looked at this one since they brought me to the interview or the meeting. And I think they chose this school because of the price. Because the price compared to a lot of schools, it was a lot more affordable here. Right. And to piggyback on that, we do have the least expensive military boarding education tuition in the country. So that is something that definitely comes into play. And people ask us, well, what is he going to miss out on at your school? You may be $10,000 cheaper than another school. He's not going to miss out on anything. The one good thing about our school is we are totally debt-free. We don't have any debt. We are in the completion stages of a $2 million barrack building, and we've got the money in the bank to pay for that. So we don't build anything here and finance it. Completely debt-free. We're able to keep that tuition affordable. All right, we got another question from Snapchat. Oh, this is always a really popular question. Johan, is there any way to hang out with or meet girls while you're here at Camden? Well, if you do what you're supposed to do, you get a lot of opportunities. For example, with Colonel Heflin, he likes to take people to FCA trips if they're doing well, and you get to see girls there, but that's not often. And how about Larson? What's your take on the girl situation?
Well, I mean, like Johan said, if you do the right thing, you can get off campus. But you can get a girl to come to campus, but she can only be in certain designated areas throughout the day.
Right. We're not going to allow the girls to go into the barracks. So that is not a designated area she can visit. They're welcome to come out to the sporting events, and our guys will go into town for different activities. We have some guys that participate with the Fine Arts Center here locally, and so they're able to meet some girls through that. Other guys, well, Larson, for example, is in junior leadership, and I think you probably have some exposure to girls there. We do have one dance here on our campus, and you can invite your girl from your hometown, or you can invite your Camden girlfriend. We just don't encourage you to invite both to the same dance, because that usually would not end well. So you have to choose on that.
And Casey,
All right.
Casey, can
Yes.
I interrupt for a second?
Yep.
There's also other events that we're constantly asked to provide escorts throughout the year, where they have the opportunity to meet girls. And one place that I encourage them to go to meet girls is church. So there's ample opportunity, for them to be able to do that. But again, the main reason that they are here is to get an education.
Yep, that's right.
And
Yep.
I've been an escort, I think, 3 times this year, and it's fun. It lasts a while, but you do get to meet girls there, and you get to meet a lot of people that live in the local area.
Yes. And, these guys, I think 2 of them may be in contact with my daughter, 17-year-old daughter now that lives on campus. And I think I've seen some texts or Snapchats or things like that occasionally. But there are girls here in town. She has friends. So there's never a shortage of girls when there's a man in uniform. You can bank that. Now I have another question coming in from Facebook, and this must be a parent, so I'm going to address this one. It says, can you accommodate an IEP or 504 plan into educational instruction? We absolutely can, but we don't. All right, so I'm going to explain that answer. We want to look at a 504 if your son currently has that, or an IEP, but we're not necessarily going to go buy it. Most of the goals and objectives listed in 504s and IEPs, we already have in place here at Camden. For example, the smaller classes, homework, assignments, staying on top of them. Maybe they need to use electronics in the classroom, things like that. Those kind of things we can certainly do. So I would say about a third of our students each year diagnosed with ADD, ADHD, some mild learning challenge. But we kind of feel like a lot of times it's boys being boys, and they're asked to be in a public school system that's more tailored for girls. And there's very few teenage boys who can sit there and listen to a lecture for an hour and a half. Our class day is structured so that our classes are a little over 40 minutes each. We can keep attention for 40 minutes, but very few teachers can hold a student's attention for an hour and a half on a block schedule in a public school. So, yes. So to answer your question in a nutshell, please, if when you apply to Camden, send us that 504 and IEP, and we'll take a look at it, because we just want to make sure that we're not setting a student up for failure. We are a college prep school. We want them to go to college, but we also want to work and kind of tailor the educational instruction to the student's needs. John, is there anything you want to add to the?
I would just echo everything that you just said. And, again, the smaller classroom environment usually takes care of that 504 plan. There's sometimes that we have to add students being able to come see the teacher before class or after class to help that. But once they get in the small classroom environment, that usually pretty much take care of that problem.
All right, now I've got an interesting question, because I asked this just about of all my students at some point. What was the thing that you most worried about from the time you were accepted to the time you enrolled? And how did you deal with it? Larson, how about you take that question first?
Honestly, I was most worried about the bathroom situation, because when I first heard of military school, it was like no stalls in the toilets, all open showers, and that idea just terrified me.
But how is it really?
There are obviously closed stalls, but there in our barracks there are open showers if there are none left, but we do have 7 closed showers that we are used by the cadets.
Yes. So, the open showers are in 2 of our barracks. The other 3 barracks are all private. So if you're in we call them older or our more historical barracks, you'll have some open showers there. Some guys use them. I think most of them are kind of clamoring to get into the ones with the shower curtains and the stalls. But just so that you know, there's 2 boys in each room here at Camden in the dorm. They do share a central bathroom facility, and they do have stalls with locks and things like that. But I'm glad you brought that up, Larson, because that's a big deal. And when I first started here 18 years ago, those partitions, there was nothing. It was, just kind of let it all hang out. Guys are guys.
Jeez.
But those are days of the past, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. Johan, I'll ask you the same question. What was a big worry that you had, and how did you deal with it, and did it come to pass?
So mine's not really a big worry that most people had, but I thought I would get lost around campus, because in middle school I got lost in my school and I was really worried for a day. And I figured that out by walking around campus. So
yeah, our campus is fairly small. There's a central area here on campus where you're going to have most of your activities happening with the academic buildings there, and the Carlisle house with the swimming pool and things like that. But Branch, I want to get your take on that same question. What was something that worried you, concerns you, and then how did you deal with it?
Well, the biggest thing that worried me was people picking on me because I was small, and so that was the biggest thing I was worried about. But when I got here, it was like they wouldn't mess with me. They'd protect me if anything went out of hand, which it didn't. But I think
and I'm glad you brought up that aspect as well. We have a lot of parents who are concerned. Military school, they hear hazing, initiation, new boy system, things like that. We really don't have that here at Camden. For the first 2 weeks when you arrive, you can't leave campus. You can't call your phone. You can't use your cell phone, things like that. But that's about the only thing. Other students, if you've been here for 2 weeks or you've been here for 2 years, you're all treated the same. So you don't have to walk in the gutters. You don't have to stay off the sidewalks or anything like that. So you don't wear a different uniform. So everyone, comes in on equal footing. And we will have ranking and, and guys with different ranks as they introduce themselves tonight. You heard that. But that basically gives them more responsibility, but it also gives them more privilege. So they have the opportunity to do some things maybe that other students wouldn't. I want to talk a little bit about leadership development before and after Camden. Do you feel like you've become a better leader since you've been here? And then why? How did that happen? And Branch, we'll start with you on that one.
I definitely have become a better leader. I feel more productive when I leave Camden, because Camden, what my older schools had was, it teaches you it shows you opportunities and it gives you the choices to take them. So like all the other schools, they won't tell you the opportunities, but Camden has multiple opportunities, multiple paths you can take that will benefit you in the future.
Good. And John, I have a question for you. It says, how does the academic dean ensure that the students get the academic supports that they need? That's a good question.
Well, definitely a good question. Again, I try to, and definitely myself and Mrs. Finley, we do that. We look at each transcript, and from time to time, we'll talk to the parents, as registration or whenever they bring the individual future cadet in, as well as during the tours, whether it's a Saturday open house or during the week, and, to ask those individual questions, because sometimes when you generalize things, you don't get that answer. I mean, just tonight I was talking to some parents and, asking that same thing. So it's a continuous thing that we try to do, and trying to facilitate those needs.
I think the 2-week grades are important as well. We have 2-week grades that each student gets, basically a hard copy report card, and it has teachers' comments and feedback and things like that. And the dean will take a look at it and make tutorials mandatory for students. So that means they have to go in and get some extra help. The students really struggling with D's and F's, they're going to go get those tutorials, but then they're going to get the Learning Center in addition to that. So there's lots of supports here to make sure that guys are succeeding academically. It's really hard to fail when you have so many safety nets in place, and we're really proud that we're able to offer these guys that. But that's a great benefit of being a small school, I think, and the small classes.
Right.
Teachers can identify those situations early. It's not, the 8th week of the 9-week period when we identify it. It's going to be within 2 weeks regardless. Now, I have a question that just came through on Facebook. It says, our son wants to go to college at the Naval Academy. Does attending Camden give him an advantage for this or any of the other service academies? All right, we're all shaking our heads and smiling. We have our battalion commander.
Can I go?
They all want to answer. So, John, let's start with you first. You tell our little success story for this year.
Well, I would go backwards a lot other than just this year. We have, and Branch has participated in this. We've had the honor and the privilege of winning South Carolina many times to participate in this program called National History Day, and it's held at the University of Maryland in College Park. And so each year we visited a Naval Academy, and for the past 2 years, similar cadets were able to participate in that. And our battalion commander, who's Jake Dean from Waxhaw, North Carolina, visited a Naval Academy. And I remember the first time that we visited Annapolis, and he came to me as we were walking on the tour and says, I would like to go to school here. And Jake, and what I would say about Jake is, to anyone, he has the work ethic that you don't see a lot. He has that killer instinct that, hey, I'm going to accomplish that if you tell me what I need to do. So Jake applied to a lot of different service academies. 2 years ago, we went to a Service Academy Workday in Columbia at the University of South Carolina, and we talked, and he was able to get questions answered from the representatives there. His parents joined us in Columbia, and he did the necessary stuff this summer. He went to a training there, and actually at New York at West Point, and he was accepted to West Point, and I guess I didn't see it as a big deal last week when he came into my office, and he made up his mind, because he was also accepted to other colleges and universities and some great ones that are out there across the country. And so he came in and he said, I'm going to go to West Point. It's 100%. And I need to log onto your computer and I need to hit the accept button. And would you do the honor? So, you know, that really made me feel proud because we did a lot of things for him, and definitely his parents did a lot for him to get there. And so Jake Dean is going to West Point. Our battalion commander from 3 years ago, Cadet Nestor Ruiz, also went to West Point. And we've had some other students over the years at the Naval Academy. I guess the bottom line is it's possible. To borrow a line from Fantasia, nothing is impossible if you believe. And if you have that work ethic, then it's possible.
Good job. And Larson, I think you have some aspiration to maybe go into a service academy, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Do you feel like Camden has prepared you for that?
With Camden, it's not so much as you have direct help, because a lot of with the service academies, you really need to do a lot of part on you, because I want to go to West Point as well, and I have to apply and do all this other stuff in order to get accepted. But the thing that the school offers that could really help the individual is that through different organizations that affiliates with Camden will definitely help, because in junior leadership, I get to talk to a general, and he has obviously a general, so he can definitely help me with a lot of different connections that he has, which is really nice for me. So
sure. Now we have another question, but before we get there, I want to do a couple of things. I want to remind viewers that if you do have questions, continue to send them in. Just use the hashtag Camden Military and post them to any of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can send an email directly to admissions@camdenmilitary.com, and we will get as many of those questions as possible. But I do want to talk about our admission process here at Camden for just a moment. You can apply to the school online. Just go to camdenmilitary.com. Within a couple of days, you'll get a phone call from us, an email inviting you to set up that visit to come to the campus. If there's any way for you to make it to our campus, we certainly want you to, and it's a requirement if you live within the Southeast. For the parents that are outside, of the families who are outside of the Southeast, we can arrange a Skype interview or phone interview. But to get a good feel for the campus, we really want you to come here and visit. You know, I deal with parents all the time who have visited several other military schools, and they come back to us, and I say, why? You know, why do you choose us? And they like the environment here. They like the family-friendly atmosphere that we have here. You know, there are some military schools out there that are much more military. You know, they're more of a boot camp scale. There are other military schools that are guys wear uniforms, and that's about it. You know, we're a nice blend. We're small. We have a lot of green space here. You don't feel like it's an institution. You know, it's like being at home. It's a second home for these guys. And, you know, I've had the privilege to visit a lot of these other military schools around the country. And I think I understand why people come back here. But the number one reason is the people. The people that work here, very dedicated, work long hours every day. For example, our TAC officers start their day at 6 o'clock in the morning. It ends about 10 or 10:30 in the evening. You know, the teachers here, they're not your typical 8 to 3 teachers. They get here, you know, a good half hour before school starts, and they're here, a lot of them, to the end of study hall at, you know, 9:30 at night. So they're available for extra tutoring. But that's the number one reason. But we want you to come here. We want you to visit. We want you to experience it. And if not, that's why we do these on-the-road open houses. So we do travel all over the country. We go out west, up north. So feel free to join us and try to, you know, get a good feel of the academy. Now, I want to hear the biggest change of each of you. What's the biggest change you've experienced as a person? What's something when you go home, your parents say, gosh, I'm proud of that? We'll start that one with Johan. Tell me something
that doesn't really get advertised all the time. And my roommate and I actually talked about this the other day, is people may not realize it, but you mature a lot here, because you just know that when something happens, when you do something wrong, you're going to get in trouble for it, and there's no way out of it. And it kind of relates to how real life works. If you mess up, you will get in trouble, and you can't get away with things as easy compared to if you were to be at a public school.
And Larson, kind of the same question for you. What's the way that you've seen yourself change since you've been here?
I've seen myself change in a lot of self-control, because when people would start an argument with me, I normally would just immediately blow up and just lash out, because that's how I was when I was younger. But with going to school here, I've noticed that I kind of just gotta just shut my mouth and kind of just take it if I am wrong. And if I am wrong, I have to figure out why I was wrong, and to in turn better myself. And I could also add to Johan's maturity aspect, because when I was here, I was so immature. And then through different people like Colonel Heflin and you, I get to have a more independent aspect rather than just living off my parents for everything.
And that's the big thing, is independence. A lot of our guys come here and have a new independence. I tell them, a lot of the students, it's like going to college a few years early, but you still have the safety net of a good structured environment. So you're not completely on your own. I have a son who's in college now, and that first semester, think back, parents, it's pretty overwhelming. That's you're out of the house and you want to stay busy all the time, and you've got to make sure that you stay focused on those academics. And these guys here, they learn how to be independent in college. They learn how to manage their time, how to stay organized so that they can maybe go to the fraternity parties or to the college football games, but they're also getting their schoolwork completed and turned in on time. And that's a big thing that I hear from alumnus, that when they come back to visit, is that time management was the key. And can any of you comment on that time management? Have any of you learned to kind of balance your time better here?
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah. Then tell me about it.
Well,
give me some examples.
Well, when you first start off as a new kid here, you have to deal with being a private and getting yelled at all the time, and then balance the schoolwork with it. So you kind of just got to take that and then balance the schoolwork. And then once you get rank, then you have to deal with helping those other cadets out while doing your own academics and then doing yourself as well.
Awesome. Okay, good question coming in on Snapchat. It says, what happens if you're sick? Branch, we'll let you talk about being sick at Camden. What do we have in place to take care of you?
Well, we have an infirmary where the nurses actually care for you. So they won't just give you a pill and send you back to class. They'll sit down with you, see what's wrong with you. They'll give you medicine, and you can schedule a doctor's appointment locally in Camden if you feel bad. And
good answer. We have 3 nurses in place. I mentioned earlier that we have a lot of guys that struggle with ADD, ADHD, and they do have that medication that maybe comes here with them. And so the nurses take care of all that. They will actually dispense the meds in the morning, and then again, last thing at night. But the nurses here, we've got someone on call 24 hours. So if someone, is ill in the middle of the night, we're going to have someone holding that trash can for them, or, helping them get to where they need to be. But she will deal with anything that comes up. We're also very fortunate. We've got
yeah, sure. Casey, go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right.
Let's go, Johan, and then we'll come to Heflin. Yeah.
So the nurses also can tell if someone's just trying to get out of class and fake being sick. So that's an aspect that I really like. And so everyone is mostly in class. And if you are really that sick and you have to get out of class, I had to do that once when I had a concussion. And I don't think it was so fun. You had to sit in a room and sleep all day. And I'm a guy that likes to move around a lot, so that wasn't good for me.
John, did you add something to add?
Yes, I go back to that family environment. I think every teacher here can or staff person can honestly say if there's someone who's come to them and says, "Hey, I don't feel too good. Can you go to the store and give me this?" Everybody would do that. This past weekend, actually, one of my cross-country runners had to have an emergency appendix surgery, and they are from Atlanta, And the nurse stayed there all night with him until his dad, who's a doctor, was able to come here. And his dad called me and was very appreciative to that. So again, that family environment, from an academic standpoint, from a social standpoint, from a sickness standpoint, or just being there to listen to a person, that family environment is something that we have here at Camden.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to answer this one, guys, so you can take a break. It says, Heflin made the comment earlier about going to church to meet girls. How do students get there, and what churches can they go to? You have a couple options when it comes to churches here in Camden. You have the on-campus service here. We have a chapel. A full-time chaplain is employed here at Camden, so he gives the services there. Our headmaster also speaks at some of the services. But again, this is Camden, South Carolina. We're in the belt buckle of the Bible Belt. So there's as many churches here as probably anywhere else in the country. So any church, Baptist, Catholic, we have a Jewish temple even here in Camden. We can accommodate and get the guys there. We provide the transportation. Now, we do have every once in a while a student that will enroll who is maybe Greek Orthodox. The closest is about 40 miles away. So we would have to work with the Greek Orthodox community in order to provide some transportation to get you there. But we do have students who are non-Christian as well. We have Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, because these kids are coming from all over the world, a lot of diversity. Those students simply have to study their doctrine during our spiritual reflection, do some spiritual reflection during our church time on Sunday mornings. But we allow guys to get involved in youth groups if they choose to. Lots of different activities that they can get involved in with the local churches here in Camden. I have another question on Facebook. Says, what are the different uniforms that you have to wear? And guys do have on different uniforms here tonight, so I'm just going to let you quickly touch on it, tell them what the uniform is. Johan, we'll start with you. What do you have on?
So I'm wearing the ACUs, and you normally wear this when it's raining outside or there's just bad weather.
And that's the favorite uniform.
Snow.
That's the one you like to wear the most, right?
The one I like to wear the most is there's two PT ones. There's the PT Winners and then PT Summers, and that's the winter ones are sweatpants and a sweatshirt, and the summer ones are shorts and a t-shirt.
Okay.
But those
And
are only on weekends.
Cadet Branch, I know you have your Letterman's jacket on now, but what's the uniform that you have on?
I'm wearing a class uniform. It's a gray shirt with a name tag and rank on my shoulders, and then, well, we have a belt and pants.
Yeah. And we'll go to Larson.
I'm wearing the parade uniform or the dress uniform, and we normally wear this uniform in case we want to have a parade or there's any other ceremony that we want to participate in. Like when we were the escorts, we had to wear the parade uniform, or like right now when we want to kind of show off a little bit, wear the parade uniform.
Gotcha. All right. A question coming in about roommate situation. Do the guys get to room with someone who's their own age? Yes, especially initially. We're going to put you in with a roommate who's no more than 1 year in age. And then after a couple of weeks, you are able to choose your own roommate. If you would like to, you get here, you meet a friend. It has to be approved by the TAC officers within the barracks. But yes, you can be with someone your own age. Guys, a question I want to hear, because this is kind of what we're all about. I want to hear your grades before Camden and your grades after Camden, or since you've been here. Johan, we'll start with you.
So when I came to Camden, my grades weren't horrible. I think I had a 3.2 GPA, and now I have a 4.33. So mine weren't horrible, but they weren't right at that level that I wanted to be able to get into a good university. So I wanted
And what's made the difference? Why do you think your GPA went up once you enrolled here?
So this year it really went up because I'm taking 6 college classes throughout the whole year, or dual credit courses, which boosts your GPA up a lot by 1 point, I'm pretty sure.
Hey, Johan, can you quickly tell them the story of this past semester? I don't need to even ask the question, do I?
No. So I take 3 college classes each semester, and my first period college class was psychology, and I really didn't like the homework that he was assigning, and I didn't really like the tests, and I really wanted to drop out, and I think I tried dropping out about 3 to 5 times. And each time Colonel Heflin would say, no, you have to stay in it. So eventually I said, fine. And I had a frown on my face, but ended up, I did well in that class. So I thank Heflin for making me stay in that class.
And that has happened quite often, that students don't understand their full potential. And sometimes you have to push them a little bit because we're their parents as well. And that's what we do.
Now, Larson, tell me your grades prior to Camden and how they've improved and maybe why.
My grades before Camden my GPA was maybe like a 2.0. And like I said, I didn't really care about school. I kind of was just trying to find the quickest way to not do my homework, play video games or whatever. And then once I came to Camden and they made us do study hall, my grades went from a 2.0 to, I think now I have a 4.4 or something like that now, because through the course recovery, I got to boost my GPA up just that little bit more, as well as the college classes that I take.
Good. And Branch, you, grades before, after, and why do you think they've improved?
Well, I'm not really the smartest kid, but so my grades before, probably a couple C's, maybe a D. And now that I got here, because you really don't have anything else to do. So like when you're in study also, you might as well study. And so that's just about, now I have I'm on honors and dean's list. I have a probably around 3.5 GPA. I'm doing pretty good. So
yeah, good job. Got a snap here. Wanting to know, how is the food? Johan, we'll throw that question to you. How is the food here at Camden Military? And tell them the truth.
All right. So during breakfast, actually this year was, I proposed an idea for if breakfast people don't want to have the pancakes or whatever they have, I told them to add a fruit bar, and they actually added that. So if cadets want to eat something healthy during breakfast, they can eat fruit thanks to me. And also during lunch and dinner, you have the option to get salad, lettuce, and however kind of salad you want. And the food, the main course meal ranges from anything from rice to some really exquisite steak or something. We have steak every once in a while. And Thanksgiving, we have a really good meal. Makes everyone full, and no one complains about Thanksgiving because honestly, it's fantastic. Thanksgiving.
Awesome.
And also, just one small thing: if you really don't like anything they offer, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you can get a peanut butter jelly, which is that side option.
You have an option, or salad. We have some salad there too. So, yeah. So the food, of course, it's not going to be a 10-star dining experience, but I do find the food very good. It's definitely not mom and dad's cooking at home, but trust me, it could be a lot worse. A lot of the public school food, for example, we don't necessarily go by what the government requires. Being private is pretty nice. So we don't have to have whole wheat cookies. We can have real dessert. We don't have it is managed by a nutritionist there, a retired command sergeant major. But, the food there, we can have sweet tea. That's something you don't get. And if you try to take it off the table in the South, that's a big sin. So, we enjoy having those little extra perks there in our mess hall. Guys, one question I want to ask too is your relationship with your mom and dad since you've been here. I know I talked to a lot of families, and grades can really put a strain on the relationship at home. It can make things pretty tense in the house. So, Larson, we'll ask you first. Has your relationship with your mom and dad improved, and how do they feel about you now, maybe compared to Camden before coming to Camden?
Well, before Camden, our relationship was definitely not that great. Me and my dad would fight all the time, and on one instances, we may have had a little bit of an altercation where I punched a hole through a wall. But other than that, it wasn't too bad, but it definitely wasn't a good father and son bond. And then after going to Camden, I have a lot more self-control. and I can voice my opinions, and we have a lot better conversations. And I wouldn't say last year, but this year after Thanksgiving break, when I met my dad, I actually thanked him for sending me to the school.
Awesome. And Branch, how about you?
Well, my relationship with my mom wasn't the best at all, and so coming here last year, Colonel Huffman kind of like coached me a little bit of respect for my parents and whatnot. And then over the summer, I kind of like impressed her because I was like a whole other guy coming home. She was pretty proud.
Awesome. And Johan, maybe your
Well-
grades weren't so bad, but tell us, are your parents proud of you for attending here?
Well, my parents will always be proud of me for like the smallest things. So, but coming here, they can be proud of me for actually achieving something that's really impressive.
Extra happy.
Exactly.
Hey, Casey, can I go backwards for just a sec?
Sure.
You asked about the food. This past summer, in my stay here at Camden, I've never taught summer school because usually I'm working in more administrative area, but I had to do summer school for a week this past summer. And so I want to do something a little bit different. And we were studying in world history, different cultures. And so people got kind of hungry because it's a long class day, and occasionally I would bring them different food and stuff. And so I had an idea that one of my teachers did for me back in third grade. And so I went and talked with the individuals in the mess hall. Mess hall is dining facility, mess hall, military term. And we decided to cook some food from that culture. And we made some cheesecake from the Middle East. And yes, I love cheesecake and key lime pie. And so we took a vote on which recipe in which we would do. And so actually today, that's kind of weird that you brought up the mess hall. I asked the gentleman who's over the mess hall and said, can we do what we did during the summer? And it's a lot more people, so it's a lot more intense during the school year than it is this summer. And he said, for sure, we can definitely do that. So we're getting ready to do that. And we're going to make it for a lot of people, not just for that class. And so, it's kind of some old school things that don't exist in a lot of public schools anymore. And these guys need to know how to do that. Be able, as my grandma told me, be able to defend for yourself. And so we try to do some of those old school values as well.
Good. I have a question from Facebook. It says, how many students who go to summer school are back here for the school year? Good question. We have probably about 100 students that attend our summer program. And I would say we get nearly half of those back here during the school year. So again, it gives you a really good opportunity if you attend the summer program to get to learn about the campus, to get to meet friends that you'll know someone when you come back here in the school year. And also if you come to us in the summer, you can find me here on campus and say, hey, Mr. Robinson, I would like to be in B company or C company or D company. So we kind of try to honor your request for your company placement. And not maybe because you like the building, you like the location of the building, you like the TAC officer. It could be, or that's where a friend may be. So, but yes, we have a number of students that come in for the summer program that will be back here for the school year. We've had a lot of questions tonight, and I really appreciate them. And if you think of any more, or you have them once we leave the air, please email me directly. You can admissions@camdenmilitary.com is my direct email address, and I will respond to you just as quickly as I can. And do have another Snapchat question. It's really important. So two-parter. So guys, be ready. Can you have electronics, and how big are the rooms? So Johan, can you describe the electronic aspect, and then Larson, we'll let you talk about the size of the rooms.
So the electronics, it's a privilege here, but you're allowed to bring them on your first day. Starting fresh, you're allowed to have electronics like an Xbox or your PlayStation, your TV, and so forth. But if you're acting up, you will get those taken away. If your grades are bad and it's obviously due to you playing video games late at night and not doing your homework, then you will get it taken away for the time being until your grades improve.
All right. And Larson, how about the room sizes?
Well, the rooms are definitely going to change between each barracks because Bravo has the biggest rooms, and then it kind of goes down with the older, like the older the building is, kind of the smaller the rooms are, sort of. But each barracks normally has about 2 people to a room, which is a lot of space for them to walk around in the room if they need to be, and walk around and get to the desk or something like that. And with my specific barracks, we have this thing called a 3-man room, in which we can fit 3 people into one room, and that's just like really cool, and you get a lot more space.
Yeah. And guys, we've been on the air just about an hour, so I'm going to ask one closing question, and then we're going to get out of here and get us some dinner. But let's see. My parting question for you guys: are you glad that you or your parents chose Camden? And tell me why. Looking back now, are you glad that you made the decision to attend? Basically, Larson, we'll start with you.
Well, heck yeah. I'm definitely glad that I was sent here. If I wasn't sent to this school, I have no idea where I would have gone, because on the track that I was just going to fail out of high school probably, just like my brother, which is not great. And through the school, it's given me so many opportunities to better my education and as well as my personality in order to find a great college that I want in order to have a great life.
Awesome. Johan, same question.
I forgot the question. Can you repeat it?
I was saying, are you glad that you or your parents made the decision for you to attend Camden? Are you glad you made the decision to come, basically? And tell us why.
Well, I'm glad that the decision was made as I'm standing right now. And because I look back at that old friend group that I had back in Connecticut, and I see how they're partying every day and their grades are going down. And I always think to myself every day, if I stayed, I probably would have stayed in that group, and my life probably wouldn't have ended pretty well. I probably wouldn't have gotten into a university. And coming here really gets me away from that crowd. So I definitely got to show my true potential in academics here.
Awesome. And Brant, you're going to be the last answer of the night. So tell us about that. Are you glad that you made the decision to come here?
I'm glad that I'm not glad that I did the bad things I did to be originally sent here. But this year I'm glad to have the choice to come back here because all the opportunities open up for me. Awesome.
All right, viewers, we're going to wrap it up for tonight, and we want to thank you so much for joining us and watching this and participating. Lots of good questions coming in tonight, which was exciting. This is a virtual open house. Make it a real thing, though. Plan to visit. We have individual visits anytime during the week, Monday through Friday. Just call us for an appointment. But we do have one Saturday per month where we hold an open house here on campus, and you're welcome to come in and view the campus and spend time with cadets. And typically that's one of those Saturdays that we have a Saturday class schedule so that you're able to go in and see what the classrooms and the teachers and all that if you have to come on the weekend. Again, don't forget, you can email me additional questions to admissions@camdenmilitary.com, and keep up to date with us on all of our social media platforms as well as our website. Lots of information there. And I didn't get to summer school tonight because we had a lot to talk about. So look for an upcoming YouTube live session just covering our summer program, and we'll get that out to you soon. All right. Thank you for joining us, and good night from Camden.
Good night.
Good night.